Hey folks, welcome to Dad Bod's Madden Fundamentals. We're going to take a look today about how to attack various zone coverages in Madden. Specifically, we're going to look at zone cover 2, cover 3, and cover 4. Understand the fundamentals of how they work in pieces and how to attack these coverages, kind of the fundamental gaps in the coverages. We've got Zach Wilson at quarterback, who's got a good solid arm and should be able to make most of these throws. However, Washington has a terrible pass rush, or not terrible, terrifying pass rush, and so we will not have all day to make these throws. So they're things that we'll need to make pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and start with the cover 2. This was made famous by Tony Dungy with his Tampa 2. With his cover 2, which is now called Tampa 2 because he ran it in both the Colts and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll take a look at cover 2, just run a Tampa 2 out of a nickel to get our personnel right. And then we're going to be playing a lot in the spread today just because I like to use a spread to demonstrate various concepts. So let's take a look at deep attack. Actually, let's start with post. So cover 2, take a look, is going to have two main holes. The first and most common one is going to be this deep middle hole. Both of the safeties have to kind of split off to cover their deep half. And so this deep middle hole is one that you'll attack. The other hole is a little tighter to hit. It's this seam hole on the sideline between when the corner lets go and how quickly the safety can get over to cover. These seams, the availability of them will change based on personnel. For example, if you have a very strong middle linebacker, they may be able to cover all the way back into this middle. But let's start with this post. Now what the post is going to do here is the post is going to send, let's do this. Post is going to send Corey Davis right into that deep middle here. So he'll come up, he'll go across the corner, and the goal is that when he crosses the face of this safety here, when he goes across him, he'll usually cross underneath him. The safety's going to back all the way up into here. So if Davis can run his post such that he crosses underneath that safety, this is the promised land. Let's see if he makes that throw. Let's see if I have time to get it out with this pass rush coming at me. And we'll run play here. So, again, Davis is going to come up, threw that too early, and the safety is able to catch it. So I have to be patient on this. Quick look in the instant replay. What you'll see here is I throw it too early. I throw it here, which gives a safety time to adjust. I have to wait until, see, this is the wrong position because Davis is here, safety is here. Safety is watching me, sees me throw it, and is going to have time to come up and recover. I need to wait until Davis is past the safety to make this throw. So let's go back and see if I can do this right. This pass rush already has me seeing ghosts. Okay. There. Now, even though I got hit as I was throwing, I'm at least throwing it to the right spot. Let's keep an extra blocker in here. See if that helps things. Dear gosh. Let's step up into the pocket a little bit. There it is. Okay, so we're patient. We wait until Davis crosses, and then that is open on that deep post. And if we can be patient, this will usually be open. If we just wait, again, I'm not being patient enough. I'm too worried about the pass rush. Okay. It is. Throw it as soon as he gets past. And Davis is able to make a great one-handed catch. Let's see if we can get this again. There it is. Davis is open in that little gap, that deep little gap in the middle of the cover 2. And Wilson has enough arm to get it there in time. If Wilson had less of an arm, that ball takes longer to get there. You'd see The safeties already converge pretty quick. It's a deep ball. And safeties start to run that way as soon as I let it go. They're watching for it. If that ball takes too long to get there, the safeties will get there. Okay, so that's the deep hole on a cover two. That's a great way to get big chunk yards against a cover two. The other thing we're going to look at now is that kind of side seam. And so again, I'm going to be in a spread here, and I want to take a look at deep attack. Now, deep attack is actually useful to talk about for a couple of reasons. Let's get back in our team. Give me a nickel normal to this. Okay. Couple of things to look at here. The first is it could be tempting to think that Barrios is going to get open in that middle spot, right? It's tempting to look at this and say, oh, hey, Barrios is going to have a shot to get open right here in the middle between the two safeties. And you're not wrong, but what actually is going to happen is this linebacker is going to watch Barrios and he's going to float right into that spot and be right on top of him. Any kind of halfway competent linebacker is going to fill that spot. In fact, what some defenders will do is they will deliberately audible this linebacker into a deep third to ensure that that hole is completely closed. But even without that audible, you're going to see here that Barrios is not going to get behind this linebacker, and that is not the read. So see that linebacker's right there. Barrios is able to sneak underneath him a little bit, which I guess worked pretty well, but that is not something that is often open. Boy, Barrios just catches everything anyway, doesn't he? The thing that I want to look at is the side seam. So if we look at the cover two here, this guy's running running a cloud flap, which means he is kind of sitting in this area here watching. He will follow the receiver a little bit, but not that far, and eventually he's going to have to come down to cover Smith, who's coming across into that flat area. What this means is if Davis can get an outside release, meaning if he can run to the outside of the corner, then he's going to have a spot back here that's going to be tough for the safety to get to. This is especially true because we are on the far hash, right? Because we're on the far hash, this safety has a whole lot more space to cover up here. And so pay attention to those hashes when you're trying to hit some of these gaps. Let's take a look at how this one plays out. See if Davis can get the outside release. He does. Then we throw it to that outside area right after he gets past the corner. This should be there pretty consistently. Wilson gets the ball there on time. The free safety has too much ground to cover, and Davis is going to do well. Now, if Davis does not get that outside release for some reason, if the corner is able to push him in, which we're not likely to see here, then then this throw doesn't work because he doesn't get enough distance from the free safety. Let's say, for example, that you can tell what Davis's intent is going to be by looking at his route. And I want to show this real quick. So you'll notice in Davis's route, there is a little bit of an outside curve here to it, right? He's coming out and up. That indicates that he's going to try and get the outside release. If we audibled him here to say just a streak, on a streak, he's not going to necessarily try for outside release, and you'll see he ends up right in the area of the free safety. Let's take a look at this. So there's an inside release. Now we can try to throw it outside of that safety, but he's not in that spot. So a straight streak here causes an inside release and does not get him in a good position to get that ball. As opposed to what he has by default, which is that little outside release. Now, he's away from the free safety, able to get that ball. So that's a really important part of hitting this pocket is that inside-outside release against the corner. If the corner's in press, he's actually going to try and force that inside release. That's a part of what the cover two does. You'll see Davis has to go very far out of his way to get outside release there. but it's worth it. The other thing that's important about this play, just to call out, is you do have to challenge the flat eventually. So an important part of this is Smith coming up into this flat forces the corner to eventually sit down. The way that you do this is you wait for the outside release and then wait until this corner takes a step back or a step towards the flat. That's when you make this throw. And so you need somebody in that flat to challenge that corner and cause him to come up. Here, there. So you'll see in the replay here, the corner is going to hedge his bets because he sees Smith coming into the flat. Let's come over and watch him real quick. So watch the way the corner plays this coverage. He's going to, first he has to eventually let the outside go. Now watch, he's going to kind of hedge this. He sees Smith coming. He's responsible for him. He's going to hedge, hedge, hedge. And that's when we throw, is when he turns into this kind of hedge position. So watch the ball here deep from Zach. We throw it right here. As soon as we see him going sideways and trying to hedge, that means Davis is going to beat him. Okay. Getting real time. It's behind. That's the throw. Okay, so that is attacking the cover two. Again, that is attacking the cover two. Again, the spots that you want to hit here are going to be this deep middle and the sides, especially on the far side hash. The other thing to look at here is if the user eventually adjusts his middle linebacker to take this middle third, then you can attack underneath that middle third here. This spot kind of about 10 to 12 yards in the middle ends up pretty open. So that's attacking cover two. Let's take a look at the cover three. Cover three is a very common coverage in the NFL, very common in Madden. It's a pretty robust coverage. It covers things very well. There's a reason everybody uses it. We're going to take a look at a couple of the structural ways you can attack a cover three. So let's run just, again, here we're going to be for a nickel, standard nickel cover three. Look at the sky press. There's also match and buzz. We're not going to get into those today, but the concepts are pretty similar. It's about attacking these certain color zones. So I want to start here actually with a sail concept or a high-low concept. We'll talk about this. So cover three, I've got a couple places that I can attack. One is to high-low this purple. So the blue zone has to go deep. And I can go high and low, create a high-low conflict on this purple zone. And I can do this on either side. But the goal is to put this purple zone in conflict. Let's take a look at how that works in practice. So here I'm running a sail concept. This sail concept is going to send tight end on a corner, send the fullback to a flat. The way to read this is generally high to low, so you're going to read the corner to the flat. The flat is much more likely to be open, but you want to check and see if they happen to leave that corner open. Okay. And the flat is wide open. Fall forward for a few yards. Big guy. Okay. Same thing here. We're going to watch purple. He's in conflict. And that's going to go poorly. There's that pass rush again. If we do this to the short side of the field, we'll see that it's a little less ground for the purple zone to cover. And we don't necessarily get it quite as open. Well, it works well enough still to put that purple conflict. Now, one of the things about this is you'll start to see the defender making adjustments. If you keep attacking the flats on a cover two, one of the first things you're going to see the defense do is adjust their purple zones into hard flats or into cloud flats. But essentially, they move their purple zones into flats. That means they're going to follow flat first and then go behind. So we can now exploit that by jumping behind. So watch him come hard on the fullback, which means that corner's going to be corner out. The tight end's going to be open. One of the things to watch is when you attack uh, the high-low here, the corners are often going to come up really quick on the high. Um, it's a it's a high risk throw with that corner with the tight end route because the cornerbacks can just come back so quickly and jump on those. You'll see it again here. Now that was terrible because we should have gone underneath. The purple played the deep first. Okay. The other thing that you'll see your defender eventually do against this is get into a cloud flat instead of a hard flat. Cloud flats become really difficult to attack with a high-low. It's doable, but you'll watch with the cloud flat, he's going to play closer to the flat at the snap and then back up pretty quick to get that tight end route. So a little closer. Now he's going to come up faster on the fullback, and we get nothing out of that. At the same time, if he's running that cloud flat, and let's say that we try to now go deep, he's going to recover on that really quickly too. He'll be right there. So eventually, if you're attacking flats against a cover three, expect that your defensive opponent is going to catch on and adjust into these cloud flats. They may even do it by default right out of the gate. So be cognizant of that when you're attacking flats in a cover three. The next thing to look at in a cover three is the seams. So one concept or one gap that is common to cover threes, and we'll show this when we bring it up here. Make the moving sky. Use my spread again to show stuff off. Another thing we're going to look at here is attacking these seams. So in the cover three, there are potentially some seams here between the deep zones. Now these do not always open up and they are kind of risky again, but right in here and right in here should be able to get open with some regularity. The risks that you have is the hooks might drift back into that. If we've got a fast safety, he's going to close quick on those, although he's usually pretty far behind. The biggest risk I have run into is that the corners tend to collapse into these seams really fast, especially if you've got a great corner. But let's take a look at what it looks like. This is a hitch seam play that is designed specifically to attack these seams. Generally, the far side seam is going to be more open, but let's see how it goes here. So I'm going to look for Smith as my first read. The other thing I'm going to do, these hitch seams try to occupy the corners with the little hitch routes. I don't like that at all. And so I'm going to send both Moore and Davis on flies. So this is really closer to a four verts because I want those corners a little more out of the way. Let's see what happens here. So we've got Smith is able to find a little bit of a seam there, but you'll see if we watch this in replay that he gets just a step behind. So you throw it when he gets a step behind the hook zone right here. It's a good ball by Wilson, but look how quickly Apke turns in. And Apke is there when the ball gets there. We're lucky that he holds on to it. So like I said, that's a tight little spot depending on who the covers are. We'll see the same thing on the other side. Let's send Moore out. And you'll watch Barrios. The goal here is going to be to throw it inside of the corner, especially since we know, well, here. So what's going to happen here is the free safety has to split these two. And so the free safety is going to tend to drift a little bit towards the open side of the field, the far side, which is going to give a little more room to Barrios. He's going to get bumped here. And then if you can throw it inside in this spot, away from the corner, who's back here, and just inside where this, where the free safety is, that's usually going to be an open spot. So let's take a look at that here. and see if Barrios and Wilson can hit that spot. Here we go. So that's a pretty good way to attack that seam as well. Again, you're forcing the free safety away. The other thing that's happening here that's important is, we'll look at this on replay, is the hook zone. So one of the things that might happen here is that the hook zone would come and fill this gap, right? The reason he's not is that Carter is coming up and forcing him to step up. So watch in the replay how this happens. The hook zone actually goes right back to where Barrios is going to be. But watch right here when he sees Carter come up, the hook zone steps forward on Carter, leaving Barrios open behind. Okay? So those are the seams in between the free safety and the corner. Again, you've got to throw away from the corner and try to get it behind those hooks, or keep the hook zone busy so that gets open. The other place in a cover three that you can sometimes hit is underneath the free safety. And this is another one that depends a little bit on personnel, but it's a great one if you can consistently hit it. Cover three here. Normal. Now, what we're going to do here with this play is try to get Barrios underneath the free safety. So there can sometimes be a little gap here in the cover three where you're behind the hook zones and you're in front of the free safety, because the free safety has to go really deep to follow the wide receivers, and the slot can sometimes sneak underneath there. Let's see if Barrios is able to do that. So Barrios is coming. Pretty good receiver. Gets behind Holcomb. Now this works in part because Holcomb is fine, but he is not a great defender, pass defender. If Holcomb is a better pass defender, then Barrios does not get open on this here. So if you look at Holcomb here, if he's a great pass defender, he's going to follow Barrios across. He'll change position and kind of follow to the ball. This is also what a user defender will do. So if you have a user, this hole is probably not open if you have somebody usering the inside. But as it is, Holcomb is just okay, and he doesn't get deep enough. Barrios gets behind him, and there's a nice gap there in front of the free safety and behind that hook zone. Nice route by Barrios. This is going to be there pretty consistently, again, depending on the personnel. That time, Holcomb did a better job of forcing Barrios in front of him, but still not enough. That time, the throw was a little too deep, and it risked the free safety coming up, but we still got it there. It's better to get this throw sideways. Although you risk getting into the other hook zone, you don't want to risk having the free safety come up and make a play on this. There it is. Okay, so again, to review, against the cover three, you've got a few spots you want to hit. The first is you want to high-low the purples. Another is to look at these seams. And then the last is to look in front of the free safety in this little pocket here. That's the way you attack a cover three. Let's move on to cover four. Now, in my experience, cover four is one of the least well understood coverages. A lot of people play it towards the end of the game, thinking that it puts all of your guys back in coverage, but that is not necessarily the case. Cover four has a few properties that are useful to understand if you're going to run it as a defense, and also to understand if you're going to exploit it as an offense. So let's look at a pretty simple. We're going to look at a cover four quarters here out of nickel normal. And we're going to go, this time I want to look at a few different play types. I'm going to look at a dagger and, where's my concepts? There we go. We're going to look at a dagger and a mills and talk about how each of these work, or should work. So for starters, let's talk about how cover four works. The first thing to understand about cover four is that the safeties, unless you tell them otherwise, unless you pass commit, the safeties are run first, which means their eyes are in the backfield at the snap. They're not backpedaling, they're not taking step back into coverage. Their eyes are on the ball. And so if you have low skill safeties, it can be easy to draw them up with a play action here. They have low play rec, low awareness. The other thing to recognize is that cover 4 tends to be a match coverage, which means everybody kind of goes into man coverage. So the corner here is going to be on the wide. Either the purple or the safety will end up on the slot. I think in this case it's going to be the safety. I think the purple is going to go play underneath over here. And so the purple to safety, and same thing here. This tight end, I think, ends up being picked up by this safety, and this corner is picked up by this guy here. And when I say picked up, like they will follow them across the field. If they end up locked into a man, they will follow them rather than zones where they tend to sit in a given spot. This makes the cover 4 pretty vulnerable because you end up with a lot of man coverage situations, even though you thought you were picking zone. So one of the ways to attack this is with a dagger, especially a play action dagger. And the reason that this can work well is that a play action dagger, the point of the play is that I want this free safety to take a step forward while the wide receiver goes blowing past it. That's the goal. Now, this is a pretty good free safety. Jeff Smith's nothing special, although he's a little faster in the slot. So let's see if we get that behavior from the safety and if this play works. Safety's frozen, but Smith is not quite fast enough to take advantage of that, and that does not work. That's also not a good ball. We could have thrown it on the outside, giving him a better chance. So this gives Smith a little better chance. You'll notice it is a one-on-one. The other corner here, let's take a look real quick. The other corner here is not going to stay back in a zone. The corner on Corey Davis is going to follow Corey Davis across. So this is important, right? Right here, watch this. The corner is going to follow Corey Davis across instead of staying back in zone. And so Smith ends up one-on-one with the safety there. Now, if Smith is better or this is a better throw, that could be a touchdown. But it's that one-on-one with the safety in the corner, the safety and the wide receiver that you like here. And that's what makes cover 4 kind of dangerous. So close. Again, Smith is low 60s overall. He's not that fast. I think he's 92. So he's fine, but he's not going to make this play every time. So that's the dagger. Another way to take advantage of kind of these man properties is something called mills. And we'll take a look at that. So a mills concept is going to do the same thing. It's going to exploit the fact that the safety is often in man coverage and then force the corner into a bad route with deep man coverage. So let's pick up play here. Nickel Mormon quarters. I'm not going to talk about palms today. There's a whole bunch of convocations in palms that I do not understand, so I'm not here to teach it. But let's look at concept here. We're going to look at deep pass, and we want to run a mills. Now, again, the point of a mills is that it's going to ideally, it puts the safety in conflict, and he has to either drop back to help. Well, here, pull it up here. So the idea of a mills is that you want to put this safety here in conflict. He either has to cover Davis on the crosser and get horizontal, or he stays vertical and he helps the cornerback cover this post. The other thing that's going to happen is Croft is probably going to peel off the free safety here, and so he is not, by default, stepping back to help these deep balls. We'll see how this plays out in coverage, what decision the strong safety makes here in this play. Okay, so let's watch it in replay. So the strong safety here chose to follow Davis, ended up lined up with Davis, and right here you see the strong safety has decided to move vertical with Davis. Now, what is happening though is the free safety stays free and does continue to back up. He does not pick up the tight end here, but rather backs up a little bit, but still not enough. You'll see he's already a couple yards behind Davis, or behind Moore here, who is running that post. He will catch up and be able to help a little bit. But right now, this is a good position for Moore to be in, and we'll throw that ball. You'll see the free safety never even gets back there soon enough. The corner does make a great play to stick on Moore in man coverage against a post. That's just a great play by the corner. That's a matchup you want a lot of times. And if you have a good wide receiver, he's going to come down with more of those than he loses. So again, the free safety doesn't get back in time. Strong safety's occupied. This is Mills. And if it works really well, that time the corner, we've run the play too many times, the corner knew it was coming. Looks like the strong safety was back there too. Computer does adjust over time. And Jackson has adjusted. He's playing inside and killing us now. Okay. There's one other concept that to me is kind of like a reverse Mills. And I want to talk about that with cover 4 really quick. This is shown, you can run this in a lot of different ways, but it's a good one to show here out of spread. So if we come here, 4, let's run our cover 4. Normal. Now, the way that this play runs is that it's similar to a Mills, that we're going to be running a post and a cross, but we're running the cross from the opposite side of the field. So Barrios is going to run the cross to pull off the safety, and Smith should have a one-on-one then with the safety on that deep post. This is great because a good slot receiver against a safety on a deep post is a pretty good matchup. That's one that a lot of slot receivers should be able to win. The other thing that's nice is there's a play action on this, and so it should freeze the safeties. If they don't step up, they should at least not drop back at all. The other thing I'm going to do here is I want to give Barrios a chance to distract that strong safety. And so I'm going to move his route back a little bit. Instead of being a 5-yard cross, I want it to be a 10-yard cross. And so we do that to move Barrios up. Let's see if this works. Okay, so that was exactly how we want that to go. We'll take a look a little slower here in the replay. Whoops. No, not a choose new play. Oh, shoot. All right. Well, bear with me. We'll get that back and show it again. Back to that cover 4. Nickel. Again, I want to adjust Barrios to have a 10-yard. So by default, it's this here, this 5-yard, 7-yard cross. I want him to go to 10 yards because I want him to really get in the face of that strong safety and mess things up there. Okay, that worked all right. I threw it a little early because of the pressure coming. Let's try it again here. Oh, bad throw. Come on, Wilson. There it is. Okay, let's watch a replay on this. Not choose new play. Let's watch the replay and watch the behavior of the safeties here. So Barrios is going to come up. That's what I want to look at first. Watch Barrios, number 10, coming up. And the safety is going to get on him. And now watch the safety right here. This is the key moment. The safety starts going horizontal. As soon as that safety goes horizontal, now you know you've got one-on-one over here with Davis and the safety, which is great. So strong safety is not getting any more depth. There's no help behind, and Smith is able to run past on the post, that free safety. That's a post is a great route, and he's able to get behind that free safety, that poor sap of a free safety, for the touchdown. With a faster slot receiver, a better slot receiver, a weaker safety, this can be really ugly play if that safety can't keep up. So again, the cover four, a couple of things to look at when you're exploiting a cover four. You want to keep in mind that these safeties are run first, so they're vulnerable to play action. They're going to pick up man coverage. They're not going to drop into these zones, but rather they're going to pick up man coverage and stick with those guys across. The other thing we didn't cover is similar to a cover three. You can exploit the high-low of a purple zone in a cover four. It acts just exactly the same way. You send somebody into the corner, you send somebody underneath, and you can cause mismatch problems for the quarter flat there. That's it. We've talked about cover two, cover three, cover four. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to cover. Oh man, in a future video, and enjoy playing Madden. Glad to have folks in the league. Thank you.